remembered. I've not switched on my lights. I always forget something. I'll switch them on while I'm having a little chat to you. So today I'm going to be sharing with you some exercises to help with tight kind of outer hip area, buttocks, maybe down to like the sciatica, outside of the legs. I've had a few people recently who have said that they're feeling stiff and achy there, and kind of where can they start. So I thought I'd share with you some stretches that I do that help my area there, because I've actually had a hip issue since I was born. I was born with clicky hips. I don't know exactly what that means. I used to wear like double diapers, and this hip's always clicked. It's always been an issue, and I get really tight kind of here to the back and down the outside of the leg, like that ITB band here. It's just really tight. So I thought I should share some of my stretches with you today, Pilates based, and also because I had mentioned I fell down that little hole the other day, and it was on this side as well, so I sort of jolted my back and my hip. So I thought I'd share them with you. We will be needing a little moment is if you've got a tennis ball or any kind of balls for this one. So these spiky balls I used to use for years. I actually used to be a massage therapist many years ago. But these spiky balls, there's some evidence that these can cause damage to the fascia. Excuse me. Some damage to the fascia. So basically, we don't really use those ideally. So better to have the smoother balls. So the difference between the like the tennis ball and then the kind of massage ball. The massage ball is a lot firmer, whereas the tennis ball has a little bit of give. So if you're particularly tight, I recommend you use a tennis ball. Or I've got a thing called a peanut, which is like two of these together, so you could use that as well. But we won't use those just yet. We'll just get the body moving first. Okay, so let's begin. Let's take your hands to your hips and bring your feet a little wider than hip distance apart, and begin to circle through your hips. Nice and gentle. So always going at a pace that suits you. So if yours is really tiny, that you can't even see it, that's fine. If it's a little bit bigger and that feels good for you, then go ahead and do that. I love this. I get so tight, as I said, through here, and this is just great relief. So if there's any particular areas that feel tight, like for me it's over here, so I could just come back and forward over that area if I wanted to, or breathe and pause into it. And as you begin to loosen out, you might be able to move through the upper body a little bit. But again, just take it at your own pace. So for me, I do this every day practically. So maybe I'm a little more mobile than you. And then the other way. So always trying to remember to go one way and the other, just so you can stretch it out in different ways. The stomach's slightly drawn in to protect through the back. The knees are slightly bent. Breathing. Just letting those hips move. Good. And then coming back to centre. Wonderful. Okay, so let's take our feet wider and take your hands to your hips. So I'm going to take my left hip out. Well, it's not my left hip, it's my right hip, but mirroring you. Taking the left hip out to the side and just reaching over into the opposite direction, and then coming back to centre and the other way. There's likely to be one side. Usually that's tighter than the other. I'm just easing out. If you need to bend your knees slightly, if this isn't good, come back to the circling of the hips. Breathe, let it go. Good. Wonderful. And then coming back to centre. So we're going to do a little twist with the body. So we're taking the arms out to the side, we're twisting through the torso, wrapping the arms around you, and then releasing and twisting. So usually in Pilates, I'll get you to keep your hips facing forward, because we want this upper body to be nice and strong and supported here. But for this one, because I'm trying to work through this area a little bit, you can, if feels okay, taking the weight to the left foot, coming up onto the right toes as you twist round. So you're getting a little stretch here through the back. So again, always, never any, if you have any like sudden movements, like shooting pains with the back, too much, come back to just swinging the arms around. That should be fine for you. Otherwise, just swing the arms around, taking the gaze behind you. And with the arms as well, you're allowing that upper back to begin to move. Just try to keep that stomach slightly drawn in, particularly as you twist around, so the back's got that extra support there. Maybe rising the arms up a little higher. Good, and release it. Okay, bring the feet back together. Taking the left foot around the back of the body. So you can hold onto a wall actually here, so if you've got one near you. So you're taking the foot behind and then the arm is reaching up and you're leaning, try and twist slightly, leaning into the wall as the arm reaches over the head and releases back down. So reach the arm up and over and release. I'm going to turn to face you just so you can see what I'm doing. So I've got my nails facing down, you can have the ball of the foot facing down, doesn't really matter. You're just twisting that leg behind you. So if you've got the wall, it's a bit easier because then you can reach over. Last one. So if it's too much, just come halfway and release. Okay, let's switch sides. The right foot behind, hold onto the wall if you've got one. Top arm reaching up and then releasing. So for me as well, I get so tied up through this. I mean, if I didn't do Pilates and yoga, I think I'd be like a crumpled up ball. I really need that just to move through my body. Get those muscles stretched out, reaching up. This is an imaginary wall, so if you haven't got one, you can just rest the left hand down. Good. And last one. And release. Wonderful. Okay, we're going to make our way down to the mat. So if you can't get to the mat, you could be in a chair for this one. So you could be kneeling, or if you can, you could be cross-legged on this one. Excuse me. And then you reach one arm out, the opposite arm comes up, over the head, as you reach over. And then releasing. And then the left arm reaches out, top arm up, over the head, and releasing. So you're flowing from side to side. So if you can't, it's better really if you're cross-legged because then your bum's closer to the floor. If you're kneeling, you're a little bit high up. So it might be better to do it on a chair if you can get down cross-legged. You can always have the legs out in front straight with this one. But the thing is, when you have your legs out straight, what tends to happen is the back begins to raise. So if you've got a big cushion or something you can sit on and then have the legs out, it will help keep that nice and long for you and coming from side to side. So if that felt okay, we could then progress it slightly. So you're taking your feet to one side of the buttock. So my feet come to the left side and my knees are facing forward. And it's really important that the knees are happy here. And then I'm reaching my right arm out and the top arm is coming up and over the head. Now I can come a bit deeper, so I'm going to bend my supporting arm to stretch through the side and then release. Now we're going to see if we can come this way. Some people can't come this way. See how it feels on your back. Reach the arm up, out and up. So this is where the stretch becomes quite deep. Down into that kind of hip area, the buttocks. So you might find quite a lot of relief there. I'd love to hear how you're getting on with these, stretching from side to side. Good, releasing. Okay, swishing the legs around to the other side. So again, if you struggle to sit down here with the legs off to the side, you could be on a cushion slightly, so that might give you a little bit more accessibility there. And also sometimes try to change the knees. If the knees are a bit too far over into the direction that you're going first, you might need to bring them over that way. Traditionally, actually, in Pilates, you're making kind of 2 triangles, but I find that just not right for me and my hips. So I find it a lot easier just to have both knees slightly forward. So your left arm reaching out, right arm over the head, and then switching. Reaching, stomach slightly drawn in, shoulders are always down away from the ears. So when you're reaching up, hiking up your shoulder, there's a gap there. See the difference? Gap. From side to side. So this is the side which is really tight for me. So when I reach here, it's a great stretch down into that hip area. Side to side. Good. Let's make this our last one. And releasing. Okay, so here comes the fun part with the ball. So if you've got one, if you haven't got one, you can just watch and then maybe get a tennis ball. So what we're looking to do is kind of get into the piriformis muscle. You can see my buttocks. So we're trying to get kind of into this area. And some people are like, oh, I don't know if I've got it. Well, if you don't know you've got it, when you push the ball into it, then you're not at the right place. If you can't get down on the floor, you can do this up against the wall. But if you're on the floor, then you've got the pressure of the body. So that's quite good to give you extra pressure. But equally, if it's too much down on the floor, you can do it up on the wall. So you're just placing the ball slightly. So if you brought it to the centre of the body and then bring it slightly out. And then you're taking the weight. So it's onto my left buttock. So I'm leaning slightly over to the left, not much at all. And then I'm just rolling up, down the ball and circling kind of through my hips. And you might think, oh my goodness, this is just way too painful. In which case, try the wall or press down more into your feet so not so much of the body weight is down, pressing into that tight muscle, the piriformis, the glutes. Get really, really tight. So you're just slightly moving left, right, up and down until you can feel that it's kind of like a deep pressure. Good. And release. Let's switch to the other side. So this time it's on my right. It's in the cheek part of your bum, the juicy part, as I like to call it. And then you're just rolling slightly into the direction. So my knees are slightly come to the right. Knees are slightly to the right. And then I'm just rolling kind of up and down. So you try not to get to the bone, it's the muscle. So not the sacrum, which is kind of like the lower back down into the pelvis. You don't want to try and get to too much pressure on that. It's the buttocks. We're trying to get those glutes stretching out. So this helps to put pressure on those tight muscles, which can just get really like congealed, and then that just helps to release that out. So you can always have a harder ball if you can take it. You're just rolling around, releasing out any tension there. Good, and then releasing. So thank you so much for watching today. I'd love to know what you thought about today's session, how you got on with the mermaid is a side to side, how you got on with that mermaid stretch, the standing and the one on the floor, and if you have used balls before in your bum. And if you liked it, if you found it relieving for you, or if you haven't got any balls yet and you're going to try it, I'd love to know. Thank you so much for watching. I shall be back tomorrow, and don't forget, mid-July we have got our Pilates and relaxation 5-day challenge, free 5-day challenge. So if you're thinking, where do I begin with you? This is a great starter, so we'll be having 5 days together where you can really focus on your Pilates, on you getting your body moving again, and also we'll be teaching some relaxation techniques for when you kind of have a flare up or when you feel you're not able to cope. You've got those techniques to draw onto to help you relax, calm, and feel a little bit more of a better person because you can cope a little better. So thank you again. This is Sandia signing out. Bye bye.